Yes, Franchise Players, Episode 1. Super excited with my guy here, Durrel, my boy P. We're here to bring you guys podcast, Episode 1, Franchise Players Pod.
Yes, sir. We're here.
Super excited to have you guys aboard.
So excited.
Man. This is going to be great.
It's been a long time coming, so it's we got amazing content for y'all, so stay tuned.
Absolutely. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and jump straight into it, fellas. So it's technically the end of week 2 of the NBA season, so I want to hear what your guys' thoughts are on like a recap for week 1 and week 2, what you guys thought about the games, anything you took away. So go ahead and let me know.
So one thing that I took away so far on week 1, so I'm hop on the Wemby train, you know what I'm saying? But
Right.
I've been thoroughly impressed. I've been thoroughly impressed with his poise and his approach to the game, especially as a rookie with the amount of hype that he came into the league with, being able to just be so composed in the face of adversity, and I love it because there's so many people out there preying on his downfall. But especially with the 2 games that he had against Kevin Durant, and being able to go bucket for bucket with KD was a beautiful thing to see.
Yeah.
Right. And also additionally, just his impact on the court. Not even on the offensive side, but the defensive side of the ball. Just being able to change the trajectory of the game just based on his length. Right. So now it's guys in the offseason, they're going to have to start prepping on how they're going to score on Wemby. Right. So that's the impact that he brings to the game. When I think about it, when I think about the great players of the game, is their dominance, right? So Wemby is dominating the game right now at such a young age. So just imagine now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, once he start developing,
Crazy,
bro. Once he fills into his frame, and then he gains that man strength.
Bananas.
That man strength. That's it. Well, that's kind of what I'm actually looking forward to in the upcoming weeks, is seeing him against bigs that are actually like grown into that frame, right? Like guys like Jokic, guys like Embiid, guys like AD. Because I was watching that OKC game with Jokic. Yeah. And Jokic was feeding Chet buckets, man. Like, Chet has a similar build as Wemby, and he could not guard Jokic. Like he couldn't stop Jokic for shit. So I'm really looking forward to the matchups that Wemby's gonna have with the dominant bigs of today, because so far, from my knowledge, I haven't seen him really play against a dominant big or center yet.
To that point, Jokic, that's a generational talent.
Right.
Embiid, generational talent.
Absolutely.
Right? So when it comes to him going up against generational talent, I'm not expecting him to shut down those guys. I'm expecting him to compete, yes. But in terms of shutting down Jokic, look what Jokic did in the finals last year.
Right.
Going up against arguably one of the greatest defenders of his generation in Anthony Davis. And what he did to AD, come on, Jokic is generation talent. But what he's doing right now against the NBA talent, the talent that he's going up against, that is expected. Chet, come on. Unfortunately, he had to get tested by Jokic within the first week of his NBA career. It's very unfortunate. It's like welcome to the NBA moment.
Right.
So it's Wemby going up against the for sure, generational talent as it would. I believe that it's gonna be tough for him. It's gonna be tough, but we'll see.
He's going to be phenomenal. Sure. I mean, just how seamlessly he seemed to just transition into the NBA. I mean, 5th game in the league, coming through with almost a 40-point performance, 10 rebounds.
Unreal.
The way that he's matched up against KD in those few games has just been, it's been such a joy to watch. And I'm honestly so excited for his potential, because we've never seen a player with his height, with his length, his wingspan, like you said, Durrell, his dominance on both the offensive and defensive side of the ball so far. Dude is 19 and is in ridiculous. He's not in his grown man body yet. No, he's really not. He doesn't really have that much size. So it's just when I was watching his plays, and specifically that matchup against KD, I didn't see any fear in his eyes.
There was none.
He seemed like a very poised, again to your point, very poised young man. I am extremely excited to see where this goes.
One other thing I was going to kind of tap into with him as well is, I saw a short clip of him stretching. And
flexibility.
Man, like he really takes care of his body in a holistic way that I don't think we've really seen, players in the past take as much notice in terms of like mobility. And that was a big concern coming into the draft, was, is he going to be injury prone because of the fact that he's kind of lanky, or is he going to, stand the test of time? And in terms of his mobility drills and what he's doing and the attention that his trainers, putting into him, making sure he's taking that time to work on the mobility. I mean, I'm impressed, and I really don't think that, for the most part, injury is really going to be much of a concern.
I pray it's not a concern, brother, because if he continues to play it this way and just continue to get better over time, it's going to be scary. It's going to be scary 100%. For a lot of players in this league. Yep. And for us as fans, it's going to be so enjoyable to watch.
One thing about that Spurs offense that I really love is that they're setting Wemby up for success, right? So just in terms of the plays that they are, I love that Wemby is, moving without the ball. Yep. Right, so when he catches the ball, he's already in motion. He already knows exactly what he's going to do with the rock when the ball is in his hands. So they'll set him down screen. He catches it. Either he pops, he catches it, come off the curl, or drives to the paint. Right. So and him driving, come on, no one's gonna block his shot. Right. So like Kevin Durant said, the only reason why Wemby will miss a shot is because of Wemby. Yeah. It's not because of your contest, because your contest is not going to do anything.
It's not doing nothing.
Right? So it's like the way the Spurs offense right now is catered right now, I love it, right? So they're not putting him in situation for him taking ill-advised, low percentage shots. It's a Popovich offense,
And the transition too, man. Like, as a player that really enjoys transition buckets, like he's the best. If you're a point guard, he's probably one of the best people you can play with. Yeah, just dish it all the way down. He's there. He's at the basket.
Absolutely. Like Kevin Durant said, right? Wembanyama, he's his own player. Exactly. There's no real comparison to him in terms of all of the different things that he offers, both offensively and defensively. And like I said before, his length and that wingspan is just it's just generational. It's just crazy.
If I had to say one word to describe him, it would be fluid.
Right.
Everything, his motions, his movements, his IQ for the game, how he plays with his teammates, his composure, everything is fluid. He goes with the flow.
Right.
Yes. One thing that you said that I really love about prospects is their IQ for the game. Like I was saying to Moose earlier, it's like for me, if I was a scout, right, the one thing that I will look for, size is everything. Everybody wants size, but your IQ for the game, how do you read the game and how do you make the players around you better? Right. Wemby, one of the most underrated aspects of his game is his playmaking. Right. And how he's able to see over top of the defense. Right. He's able to have an additional insight that most players don't get to see. Right. There was I believe it was against Phoenix. He had the ball. It was a really high pass, and it was and then it was a tip pass. I believe it was Johnson or I can't remember exactly who it was, but it was a beautiful tip pass. Right. And with a pass like that, most players are not capable or not equipped enough to make that type of pass, right? So, additionally, there was also another pass. It was late game. He was about to pull up, but then saw Caspi. I believe he's like Omri Caspi, whatever his name is. He just dumped it off to him, open layup, right? So for me is when I see a player, when I see a prospect, is their IQ. Like, how can you make the players around you better? And with Wemby, he has like that team first mentality.
Oh, absolutely.
Cool. Because he already knows that he's gonna get his own. He's gonna eat. Wemby's gonna eat.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Can you make the guys around you also
100%? And to tack onto that, his mindset as well. Like basketball IQ is obviously crucial and is something that we love to see from young players. Scottie Barnes, who we're also going to get into, his basketball IQ is just phenomenal. But I love to see that. And Wemby's mindset has been something that's kind of stuck out to me when I see him in interviews, how poised he is, how unafraid to controversial questions he is about different things, right? When people question, you're going up against this player, that player, legends that he used to look up to, he seems unshaken. He just says a ton of things that makes me look at him, and just how he handles himself in these interviews, that makes me look at him and be like, hey, we have somebody who's going in there with a really great mindset and who's unafraid of the legends with whom he grew up with, right? He's only 19 years old. He grew up with watching these guys, Bron, KD, and the fact that he's able to go out into these different matchups and really show his stuff and not be afraid. That just speaks incredible. So I wanted to move into another subject here. So I was going to say, what separates him from the other top prospects ever, other top NBA prospects like LeBron, Kareem, and Shaq and things like that. But I think we kind of touched on that already, just because of his length, his size, his both his offensive and defensive prowess. So we'll go ahead and move on from that. So the next thing I wanted to touch on here is just some other young players that I found to be very engaged and look very good to start. For example, Scottie Barnes and Tyrese Maxey. So let's go ahead and talk about Scottie Barnes at first. I know we were having a conversation earlier about that and his basketball IQ, but go ahead and elaborate Durrell, and then P will move on to you.
Yeah, Scottie Barnes, I've been thoroughly impressed with his outing so far this season. Yep. Right. Mm-hmm. So right now, I believe he's averaging 20 points, 10 rebounds, and approximately 6 assists. And Scottie Barnes, as I was alluding to earlier, that his IQ for the game, the way he's able to read the game, and bro, some of the passes that he makes are so natural. Right, most players don't have a feel for the game that Scottie does. Right, so especially on a fast break, being able to throw a no look pass to Siakam or OG, so it's he has that natural point guard feel to the game. Plus his size, his build. He's about 6'9", 6'10", about 240. Yeah, So there was a play just last week against Milwaukee. It was Giannis guarding Scottie. Giannis ain't no joke defensively.
Right. Absolutely not.
He is a defensive player of the year.
Right.
Yep. So with this play, Scottie one-on-one against Giannis was able to use his frame, got Giannis out the way, and laid it right over top.
Yep.
Right. So when I saw that, that's when that was the moment I said, Scottie has arrived.
Real shit. Real shit. That was a crazy clip, a crazy sequence. Scottie's unreal. The way he's stepped up and kind of been given the keys to the offense and to the team. It seems like this season. I think the timing for it is perfect. I don't think he would have had necessarily the IQ built up at this level earlier in his career, but at this point in his career, with the IQ he has, the physical tools he has, and also the heart, man. You know what I mean? I think that's one thing that people overlook in Scottie. He's got freaking heart. Yep. Like he's a hell of a competitor. He does not want to lose. And on top of that, he seems to be, to me at least, seems to be someone that really deeply wants his teammates to win.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. He definitely has a competitive fire. Absolutely. All right. So one thing about Scottie as well that we haven't mentioned yet so far is his efficiency. This season, right? So he's been extremely efficient, especially from 3-point. I believe as of right now, obviously the percentages
small sample size.
Right, so right now he's over 50% from downtown, over 50% from the field. Right, so those are promising signs, right? Especially for a player taking that for a player to make that jump in their third season. JC Tatum took that jump in his third season.
Absolutely.
So now we're hoping Scottie as well takes that jump in his third season, which is what he's doing right now. And additionally, offensively, he's looking amazing. But then defensively, now that's a different topic.
That's
right. So I believe it was the first game against the Timberwolves. He had 5 blocks. 3 steals. Come on, it's the defensive potential is there as well. He can be a two-way beast.
Yeah, which is what I think the Raptors were going for initially when they drafted Scottie Barnes over Jalen Suggs, as they saw the intangibles, right? That basketball IQ, that length that he possesses as well. Just seeing him early in this season, like we said, small sample size, but I think he looks phenomenal. That 3-point shooting efficiency kind of caught me off guard because he didn't come into the draft as like a great shooter
or even a scorer,
a scorer. Period.
Right.
So it's just been very interesting, and I'm pleasantly excited to see that. Like, he's really shooting the ball, and like you said, making the right plays, making the right reads,
with confidence too. With confidence, I think that's the big thing in his body language. When he takes those threes, he's fully confident in taking them from the body.
He's been putting in work.
Yeah, and then one thing I really like about his shot selection is the fluidity of the shooting motion.
Looks a lot better.
Right, it's not as stiff. Prior to the season, his shooting motion wasn't fluid. Right, so there was like somewhat of a hitch to his shot. Now it's just fluid. You can tell that he's been in the lab in the offseason and working on his motion.
Absolutely.
Right? And also I think another aspect of the Raptors offense that has helped Scottie's game is the addition of Dennis Schroeder.
Yes.
Right? Having a true point guard on the floor. Right? Because we all play sports. We all play ball. You know what I mean? Basketball is a game of repetitive motion, and it's a game of flow. Right? When you have a point guard like a Fred VanVleet, who is a shoot first point guard, he's not getting his guys around him going. Nope. Right, Schroeder is like he's getting his guys around him going. His Schroeder's pick and roll game is so beautiful, right? So being able to he has an amazing pick and roll game with Poto, has an amazing pick and roll game with Pascal, and also being able to find those open shooters.
Absolutely.
Right? And as well as the ball movement in this Raptors offense, being able to set Scottie up for open jumpers. As you can see, some of the jumpers Scottie's taken, he's wide open. Right, prior to this season, damn near most of the 3-point jumpers Scottie was taking, they were all contested. Right. So in terms of the contested rate of his jump shots have decreased substantially, which has also improved his shooting percentage.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was gonna say the Raptors have kind of had a little bit of a rough start. So do you think that like their record right now is indicative to what's to come? Are they going to continue to lose more games, or do you think we're going to be kind of a 500 team maybe, or have more of a winning percentage? I'll bring it over to you, P. What do you think about that?
Honestly, I think it's just growing pains, right? Like we have a new coach, we have new people in the building, right? New draft pick, new point guard. So I really think they're gonna do really well in the long stretch, right? Over the whole season. But this is just, growing pains, like I said earlier, man. So I wouldn't be too shocked if they lose a couple of strings of games. You know what I mean? Maybe 3-4 in a row to some tough teams. But definitely based on the performance that they had against the Bucks with Dame and with Giannis, and they held their own, and not only held their own, but they basically 20-pieced them. It shows strides that they really do have a lot of talent. I would love to see OG kind of step up a little bit more in terms of an offensive role and be a bit more assertive. I mean, this is something I've been hoping for like the last few years out of him. However, even if he doesn't, he still kind of holds his own on on defense. And maybe there'll be a couple other dudes. What I'm really liking as well is Gary Trent's development in terms of playmaking. We never really saw Gary Trent as much of a passer prior to this season, and it seems like already his relationship with Darko has
buying in.
Yeah, and that's amazing. And on top of that, he's kind of an underrated defender. If we could see the same defense that he had the first year in the Raptors, this year again, going for the steals and kind of really taking defense very seriously as well as the playmaking, I think the Raptors honestly probably 6th seed.
6th seed, okay.
Yeah,
6th seed. Durrel, what do you got? Where do you have the Raptors standings at the end of the season?
At the end of the season, right now, so I'm just going based off the teams that I believe that will be ahead of the Raptors right now. Obviously, you got Milwaukee up there. You got Boston up there, Philly.
Potentially Knicks, Cavs, Atlanta. Yeah. It might be a little tough.
Atlanta does not scare me. As Pat Bev said, they got no dogs.
Yeah.
But I think, especially for me, one thing I like about the Raptors is their defense. Right? So their defense is so stout. The only thing that's holding the Raptors back is their offense. I believe the Raptors defense can compete with any given team.
Yeah. If there's any big point that I'd make about the Raptors that I don't love, it would probably be the offense. Right? The shooting seems to be an issue. Sometimes I do see them reverting back to that ISO ball, which scares me a little bit. But I think there's a lot of tools and a lot of players to work with for the future. So I'll probably have them somewhere, I want to say, probably 7 through 9, maybe 6 on a high. I like P's optimistic. You got to love that. But yeah, it's very potential. So Durrel, where do you got them?
Yeah, so I definitely believe, like I said, there are only like 4 teams I truly believe that are better than the Raptors in the East.
So you're feeling like 5, 6.
So I would say obviously like 5, 6 maybe. Okay. I'm not saying they're the 6th or 5th best team in the East, but I'm just saying the East is so wide open in terms of obviously it's top heavy, and then everyone else from 5 to 10 or 5 to 13 is going to be extremely close, right? And the one thing that differentiates Raptors from the rest is their defense, right? Atlanta doesn't scare me. Trae Young doesn't play defense. When your top guy is not playing defense, he's going to get hunted on defense, right? Miami's amazing, but they're getting older. Kyle Lowry's not the same guy. Jimmy Butler's not the same cat. They lost a couple of pieces in the offseason. And then you think of Brooklyn Nets. They're young. They're still trying to figure it out. As well as you have the Chicago Bulls. They look like they're blowing it up. What I mean?
Yeah, they're kind of a middle of the road
Exactly.
team.
You have the Hornets. So the way I look at the Raptors, they're in a really good situation. but not the best situation as fans. We want them to be in the middle of the pack.
Right.
Once again, we're going to be in the middle of the pack, whereas that's no man's land, right? But I definitely do see them having a really successful season in that aspect.
Okay.
So I was
Darko at the helm.
Like 5-6 at least.
5-6.
So
5-6. P
45 wins.
Yeah. Yeah, so P got 6, Durrell 5-6. I'm saying around 7 through 9 if I were to put him somewhere. So another team that's projected to be better than the Raptors, probably a lot better than the Raptors, the Philadelphia 76ers. They also have a young stud on their team that's looking to make the next step. So, guys, give me some of your thoughts about Tyrese Maxey and just his emergence, even before the Harden trade. I mean, Harden wasn't on the floor, but before the Harden trade, after the Harden trade, how he's come out, facilitated the ball very well, shot the ball very well. I think he's 40, small sample size, 40% threes on the season or something like that. So give me a little insight into Tyrese Maxey, what you guys are seeing from him, and how you think he's going to improve this following year. And do you think he's going to be a most improved player candidate?
Definitely, without a doubt. I mean, Tyrese Maxey is very athletic, very gifted, and he's finally been kind of given a step up in terms of like trust. I know from the experience that we have as fans, with the Raptors, Nick Nurse is the type of coach that really relies heavy on his point guard. And as Maxey being that guy, for sure he's going to step up. He's going to get his numbers. Super talented, super athletic, and ultimately, I mean, any mistake that he does is going to be on him, but I don't think he's going to make too many mistakes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just watching Maxey, one thing that really stands out to me is speed, speed and quickness, right? So obviously in today's league, especially how he's 6'3", 6'2", 6'3",
something like that, 6'3", 6'4".
Yeah, and he has elite speed, elite quickness.
Basketball IQ.
He's an amazing shooter, right? So now he has, first of all, when you're an elite shooter with his physical attributes, how do you guard that, right? So if you press up on him, he's gonna blow past you, because with his quickness. If you sag back, he can pop it right over you, right? As well as you have Joel Embiid attracting double teams, so the court is his playground right now, man.
Right.
So it's really hard. It's really hard to guard Maxey, and I really love his game. His finish around the rim. That's an underrated part of the league, being able to finish around the rim, as well as
he's a crafty player, man.
How well he's able to control his body.
Yeah.
From going to from going 100 miles an hour to stop on a dime and and go up. So with Maxey, I'm thoroughly impressed with his game. I love his game. I love watching his game. Obviously the next step for him is just being consistent. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Night in and night out, especially being the fact now he is the for sure second,
number 2 option,
second option there in Philly. So now it's go time, right? So
it's go time for him.
So him being a MIP candidate, I think right now it's between him, Scottie Barnes, and who else do I have in the MIP candidate?
Honestly, I kind of like Tyler Hero there too.
And Tyler Hero?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder about Tyrese Halliburton though. You know what I mean? He could be kind of like a dark horse in terms of most improved, because he's already improved a lot.
Yeah.
If he even takes that next leap, I mean, Halliburton is amazing as well.
Yeah, but that's the thing, right? So is Indy going to be winning? So is it going to be one of those? Is it going to be one of those scenarios where a player is putting up stats on a losing team?
Right.
Yeah. So it's obviously Tyrese Halliburton, amazing player, amazing. Like I said earlier in the pod, IQ. His IQ is extremely high. My thing is how well can you make all the players around you better?
Absolutely, right? Absolutely. And he's already shown a ton of that, right? Like he's a 20-10 guy, 10 assists. Easily. One of the youngest players to really average such crazy assist numbers. But just to go back to the 76ers really quick. So obviously we talked about Maxey, the big story there. James Harden, the other big story, debatably even bigger. He's moved off to the Clippers now. So just quickly going to go over the trade. So the Sixers receive Nicholas Batum, Marcus Morris, Robert Covington, and KJ Martin, multiple draft picks. The Clippers receive James Harden and PJ Tucker. So, guys, give me just a brief explanation of how you guys feel about this trade. How do you guys feel about the Clippers now adding Harden? They finally get a point guard. one that they've actually been searching for quite a while, because they were in the Damian Lillard sweepstakes. They were trying to go after Drew Holiday after that happened, and they weren't able to land it. Now they get a guy in James Harden who can give you the 20 and 10, kind of similar to Tyrese Halliburton. He can give you that punch at the point guard position, and I think it takes some pressure off of Kawhi Leonard and PG. So, guys, speak a little bit about that and what you think about the trade.
Yeah, to me, the one thing that doesn't make sense to me is what the hell are they going to do with Westbrook? Right? So, obviously, James Harden, amazing player, amazing talent. Westbrook, obviously, one of the all-time greats. But at this junction in his career, being fit with Harden, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, because Westbrook is not, he's not a spot-up shooter, right? So he can't. What is he gonna like? What is he going to really do on the court? Or is Harden going to be the 2 and then Westbrook is going to be the point? Or is Westbrook going to come off the bench? I think the best suitable
that
thing,
makes the most sense.
The best suitable thing for the Clippers right now is to get Westbrook to come off the bench around the second unit.
Yeah.
Because if he's in that starting unit, it's just there would be no flow, right?
Yeah.
Harden even said this in the press conference. He is the system, right? Westbrook is also the system, right? So you have 2 players who are not system players, but they come in being extremely ball dominant and extremely inefficient in Westbrook, and Harden is right. His player usage has always been extremely high.
Yeah, these are both 2 former MVPs who are kind of in the latter halves of their careers. And have taken a little bit of a step back everywhere offensively and defensively. Obviously, Westbrook has a ton of, a ton of great things about his game still. He still averages a ton of assists. He can get going a little bit offensively. Turnovers are a little bit high. I agree with P. P agreed with the fact that, I think he's best suited to come off of the bench. So, P, tell us where you think Westbrook will be best, how he would be best utilized in this Clipper offense.
Man, with Westbrook and the whole Clippers as a whole, I'm going to speak on the whole subject. It's one of those things, it's almost like too good to be true, the way I look at it. Like, from a 2K, playing with that team on 2K would be awesome, right? Because you have all these options, all these talents. But in reality, sometimes things don't go as planned, right? So we have Kawhi, Paul George that, are very injury prone. James Harden, the last few teams he's been on, he's kind of been a distraction, right? Brooklyn, right? And Philly. So he kind of buys in, it seems like, in the beginning, and then when things start not going so well, he ends up opting out. So I'm not sure exactly how the chemistry, in the locker room is really going to go. I'm not sure where the egos of all these guys are, but I think if they could somehow figure out the hierarchy, the totem pole of who does what when, and drop their egos, it could be an unbelievable team.
Dangerous.
However, because everyone's so accomplished, because everyone has so much accolades, because everyone's been to the top, really, I don't know if people are gonna humble down.
I think it all comes down to who has a championship.
Yeah, and that's Kawhi.
And
Norman Powell.
Yeah, exactly. So it's Kawhi. So Kawhi, it starts with Kawhi and then everybody else. Harden, and so Harden and Westbrook, cool. You guys are MVPs, but you guys have not been to the totem pole, the top of the totem pole in the NBA, which is NBA championship. Kawhi has been there. Paul
MVP,
George,
championship MVP.
finals MVP.
Literally.
Paul George, he hasn't done anything. He hasn't won Defensive Player of the Year. He hasn't won, MVP. Nothing. He's been, a top 3 MVP candidate, but it's not. It's like pretty much nothing, right? So obviously, it starts with Kawhi, and obviously Paul George. It's their team, and then now Harden is coming in. Westbrook. So now these guys need to get Paul George and Kawhi Leonard going before anything else.
Absolutely.
Right. So Harden needs to come with a mentality that, hey, I'm a point guard, and then when I need to eat, I'll eat. It shouldn't be I'm gonna eat and then get you guys going first, and then get you guys going after.
Absolutely.
So Harden comes in, he just needs to fit the system.
Yeah.
He cannot come in being ball dominant and just killing the offense. Right?
Yeah, there's a lot of things that need to be checked off for this Clipper team to work. And one thing, just very briefly, injuries.
Yeah.
PG and Kawhi, they've never really played to outside of that first, I believe it was the bubble season in the playoffs. That's when they were together in the playoffs. Outside of that, we haven't really seen them both healthy in the playoffs. So maybe speak to a little bit about that and about the Clippers injuries and, you know, other things that could potentially affect their success this year.
I think right now too, one thing that really helps is the workload, right? So being the fact that they have, you know, Harden, who can at least take off that offensive workload, off of Kawhi, off of, you know, Paul George, as well as Westbrook, you know, gives them a little some assurance. You know, that's something that they never truly had in the past, because like every single bit of that offense was ran through these guys, right? Obviously the wear and tear, right? So Harden coming in, you know, controlling the offense, controlling the pace, and hopefully something that the Spurs used to do a lot was obviously rest, in terms of like, hey, we're up 20, let's build a lead up, and then rest our guys. Like, let's get you guys 30 minutes a game and get you guys rest during the games, right? One thing about like Nick Nurse, he used to run his players to the ground,
down,
right? So if you can properly coach and manage the players' minutes, that would be amazing. But also with the Clippers, they lost a ton of depth.
They did.
They lost a ton of depth, right? Absolutely. So in Nicholas Batum, you know, that's another wing defender. Robert Covington, another wing defender, right? So they also lost a young talent in KJ Martin,
right?
So is it? Yeah.
You know what? Like, in the same token, though, Durrell, personally, I think they were a little bit log jammed in terms of like those young wings and guys that they had. So I feel like this kind of gives more opportunity for a guy like maybe Bones Highland, for a guy like Norman Powell to kind of show his stuff. So Terrence, I do agree that they lost some depth for sure. But you're bringing in James Harden. You know, you got PJ Tucker.
I was just gonna say, man, PJ Tucker's a hell of a defender. I mean, even at his age, you know, 3-and-D type of dude, right? So he's still a force to be reckoned with on some level, right? And he's also
NBA champion.
Right. So it's going to be fun, man. It's going to be fun to watch it. But as an NBA fan, I will make a little asterisk, a disclaimer. These super teams like in Brooklyn and this and that, we all get hyped up. We get pumped about it.
Yep.
And then somehow it never freaking works out. So I'm almost hoping that this team works out from like just a basketball enthusiast standpoint, because I would think it would be beautiful to watch these guys all work in synchronicity together. However, as a fan that's seen these sort of teams fall apart, I don't know. I don't have faith.
Yeah, one thing to that point is the offense. What kind of offense are they going to be running?
Right.
So is it going to be, you know, guys taking turns offensively, right? So how is the route going to be moving, right? So Kawhi Leonard, he's a ISO heavy player. Paul George, ISO heavy. Harden, ISO heavy. Westbrook, ISO heavy. Norman Powell, ISO heavy, right? So it's like when you watch Golden State, they are one of the few teams in the league that plays true team ball. You have ball and player movement. When you have both ball and man movement, that's a recipe for success.
Absolutely.
Prime example, Denver Nuggets last season. You have Jokic, it starts with Jokic, and then you have Jamal Murray going off screens. You know, you have the Carters, you have Aaron Gordon cutting back door, easy lob. And so who's going to be moving who's going to be moving off ball for the Clippers? Harden doesn't move off ball. Westbrook doesn't move off ball. Kawhi or Paul George, they do not move off ball. So I believe if they can get some ball and player movement in that offense, it will be extremely freaking dangerous.
Absolutely.
Right? But then also now, when they play against Jokic, who's going to guard Jokic?
That's fair. I mean, there's a lot of different things that would have to click for this Clipper team to really, like, I guess, achieve their potential on the season. All these guys are older players, and right now they're looking to win a ring, right? Kawhi leading it and being, and, you know, maybe he's not going to be the vocal leader, but he's going to be the leader in terms of work ethic, how he handles himself and whatnot. So just to finish up on our 76ers topic here, I think we made up some great points. Now I just wanted to quickly, if you guys just can give me just throw out names. Who do you guys have as the Rookie of the Year? Obviously, I think I know your answer for this, but just very quick, who's your Rookie of the Year? P, let's go ahead and start reading.
I'm going to say Chet. I know it's controversial. It's a hot take, but truthfully, he's had a year in the NBA already to kind of be, accustomed to the lifestyle and also the routine, the day-to-day. And, OKC is just a fun team. I mean, it's going to be really close, but I know Wemby's had a great start, but in the long-term 82-game season, I feel like having that extra redshirt year that Chet did have in the NBA might help him just slightly edge over Wemby.
Makes sense.
If Wemby or Chet who obviously Chet, he's an anomaly. He was injured last season. So obviously this is his official rookie season. And if Wemby was drafted any other year, Brandon Miller's looking good.
Brandon Miller's looking good. Is that your pick for the year?
No, it's not Wemby's my pick, but
okay.
If Wemby and or Chet weren't rookies this season, because like they are generational talent.
Absolutely.
Like, but Brandon Miller's looking really good. Like that was a controversial second pick. Everyone was, like the Hornet fans were extremely disappointed that they didn't go with Scoot Henderson.
Yeah.
But like I said, I don't believe in the small guards. I'm not a small guard kind of guy. So if I'm a GM and I'm looking to build a championship team, I need my star player to be 6'8" plus.
Absolutely.
My star guy who's leading my team cannot be a guard. A 6'4" guard. It's cool as a second option, but you cannot be my my number one option. Right? Look at Damian Lillard, generational talent, but he couldn't do it in Portland. So that's why now he's with Giannis.
Right.
Right. You look what Giannis did it in I believe it was 2020, with the roster that you had. So let's switch Giannis and Lillard with the exact same roster Giannis had with that Milwaukee team. I bet you they most likely don't even win 40 games.
Right.
Yeah. So for me, it's I like Brandon Miller. I really like that pick. Scoot Henderson, he's been disappointing so far. Right.
He has. Who do you have as your rookie of the year? You talked about Scoot a little bit. Brandon Miller, Chet, you mentioned. Wemby, who do you have as your rookie of the year?
It's Wemby. It's Wemby. It's Wemby.
For me, it's got to be Wemby. I mean, we talked a lot about him initially in the first segment of the pod, but he's just shown so much so early. And as long as he stays injury free, I don't see a world in where he doesn't win it. I do have Brandon Miller. To that point, I do have Brandon Miller on my fantasy league team. He's been putting up numbers. I really like what I'm seeing from him.
Good. That's what I'm saying, man. Because Wemby's a generational talent. It's if you go back to the 2003 draft, right? If LeBron wasn't drafted, Melo should have won Rookie of the Year that year, but that's another story for another day. Melo had every single month of the 2003 campaign won Rookie of the Year, but somehow LeBron James won Rookie of the Year.
Right.
So it's just the generational talent. It just trumps everything else. Just trumps the performance. If you also look at that draft as well, you had Melo, you had Wade, you had Bosh. Those were generational talents, right?
Yeah,
Same thing
definitely.
with this draft. Brandon Miller, Scoot Henderson, Asar Thompson.
There seems to be a very deep draft.
It's a real deep draft.
Absolutely.
Chet Holmgren. You know what I mean? So it's just unfortunate some of these guys are drafted in the same era as Wemby, but obviously Wemby is the for sure candidate to win Rookie of the Year.
We got yet to see. You know what I mean? We got lots of time to find out. I guess
lots of time to find out. Lots of time to find out.
But my guy giving KD a 38 piece burger, so
yeah,
he's
did.
winning right now.
He did. Okay, we're talking about MVP now. So we'll get into on a later pod, we'll get into Sixth Man of the Year, Most Improved, things like that. We kind of touched on Most Improved a little bit, but I want to hear you guys just quickly give me who you're taking as your MVP for this season. So Durrell, go ahead and start us off here.
It's kind of hard not to say Jokic.
Right.
Especially
that'll be his third MVP.
Game, but you know what it is? It's voters fatigue. Are they going to vote for Jokic?
That's exactly
once
what
more
thinking.
As MVP, most likely not. But obviously they obviously want like a new face. So I would say so right now the new face that may win MVP, it's obviously not going to be Embiid. It's definitely not going to be Jokic. And so I'm thinking right now it's a toss-up between Luka and Jason Tatum.
I think it'll be Luka. Personally, I think it'll be Luka Doncic just because you said voters fatigue. I don't know if the league would necessarily, because if we're talking, okay, let's look at the career of LeBron James. He would have won more MVPs than what he had won in his season, in his career. Sorry. So I think when you look at the Joker and how he's already won 2, I don't know if they're going to give it to him again. Steph could have been in these conversations too. I don't know if they would give it to him again. But when we're talking about Luka Doncic, I think he's kind of next up to take that step. Obviously, with this Dallas team, he's been putting up incredible numbers. He's already been 3-time All-NBA, and he's only like 23 or 24. So I like Luka. P, who are you feeling for your MVP?
I think it's gonna be Jokic again. Honestly, I mean, I think one of the big reasons why they didn't give it to him last year was because he didn't have a ring. You know what I mean? There's some level of we can't give him 3 in a row. we can't give him 3 in a row
without seeing like
right, without him cementing himself as like really that type of level, right? But with this new ring that he's got, I don't know, they might give him a little bit more respect in terms of like, okay, he's got a ring now, he's got a couple MVPs, so I mean statistically, like just watching him play, man, he gets his freaking numbers, and he makes every single teammate that he has better, so
much better.
Like,
also, another knock on Jokic last year, the reason why he fell short from grace in terms of the MVP was his defense. But at the end of the day, as a player, I'd rather get a freaking finals MVP than a league MVP. Where was Embiid last year? Where was Embiid last year in the finals?
Yeah,
absolutely.
He wasn't there.
Yeah, he wasn't there.
You know, so if I'm Jokic, y'all can have the regular season MVP because that's not what I want.
Yeah.
Now I want the finals MVP.
He just wants to race horses, bro. Let's be real.
Let's
be real.
Yeah, for sure.
He wasn't too happy about staying for that parade.
Yeah.
But okay, guys. So I don't know if you guys have been following. So this is the last thing we'll touch on today. So we're talking about the in-season tournament here.
Yeah.
So Damian Lillard in a post-game interview said, "I don't know what the hell is going on," and I think a lot of people don't really know what's going on. It is a little bit confusing. So I'm just gonna go over it very briefly here. So the inaugural in-season tournament will tip off Friday, November 3rd, culminate with the championship on Saturday, December 9th. The championship will take place at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. There's going to be group play. All 30 teams have been randomly drawn into groups of 5 within their conference based on win-loss record from the 22-23 NBA season. Beginning November 3rd and continuing through Tuesday, November 28th, each team will play 4 designated group play games on tournament nights, 1 game against each opponent in its group with 2 games at home and 2 on the road. Then it advances to the knockout rounds. So 8 teams will advance to the knockout round. The team with the best standing in the group play games in each of the 6 groups and 2 wild cards. The knockout rounds will be single elimination games. And then at the conclusion of the in-season tournament, the NBA will be named the most valuable player of the tournament and join the all-tournament team. Selection will be based on the player's performance in both group play and the knockout rounds. There's going to be $500,000 in incentives for winning players and coaches for whoever wins, $100,000 for the semifinalists, and $50,000 for the quarterfinalists. So just really quickly, fellas, let me know if you like this idea about the in-season tournament and how you think it's gonna. Just let me know what you think about it.
Truthfully, I feel like it hasn't been explained well enough to the fans or even to the players. But I am like optimistic that it actually might be something we buy into as we see it play out. The initial understanding of it hasn't been, well, described.
I agree.
The understanding of it is kind of like vague.
I hope I was able to provide clarity, but I agree.
Yes and no. Yes, you were, but the league hasn't done a good job of making clarity be accessible and like hyping it up. Really, like marketing behind this thing hasn't been.
Absolutely.
But they're trying a thing, and we're gonna find out if we like it or not. But that's the beauty of the NBA is a league that it keeps evolving and it scraps what we don't like and it adds new things we might like. So maybe I'm open to falling in love with it, but I'm also just might not really feel it. So who knows?
Yeah.
So
I'm with you, especially with Adam Silver. I love how innovative he is. Always trying new things. Obviously, a couple of years back, he added in the play-in tournament, and now he's doing the in-season tournament, right? But to your point, it's just having that clarity, providing us just information about what it truly means. Right, but obviously in terms of the incentive, like what $500,000, what does that mean to a guy like LeBron James? What does $500,000 mean to a guy like Luka? What does 500? Even Fred VanVleet, for example, my guy who just got over $130 million contract. You know what I mean? So it's so obviously they want the league to be competitive, right? So obviously players resting, that's affecting the outcome of the actual seeding. So they want the league to be competitive, but just in terms of clarity, just in terms of obviously you get you have the four was it like the 8 games, and then
the knockout round.
You have the knockout round, and then you also have the final 8, and then from that point on, I believe you win, and so you play an additional game that doesn't count to your regular season record. Yeah,
so the championship game won't count towards
exactly. So then at a point in time, do I want to risk me getting injured for one game? And that may ruin my chances of actually winning the NBA Finals, which is what we're here for. So that one game could mean so much, right? So it's because then the wear and tear as well, right? The wear and tear on these players' bodies and everything like that. That one game could mean so much, right? So it's because that could also be a disadvantage for the team that actually wanted to play the in-season tournament.
It could be. It could be. Yeah.
But I do like it. I am with it. But the only thing I don't like is the freaking courts.
Oh yeah.
They don't. I think they could have done a better job.
It's
with
horrendous.
that.
It just looks like odd. It just looks extremely childish.
Yeah.
It looks very amateurish. You know what I mean?
Takes away from the game.
Yeah, 100%. So it's like I said, Adam Silver, he's very innovative. He's always trying new things to market the game to different countries. Like when you look at FIFA, you look at all these other sports, they always have some type of in-season competition as well, right? So I believe there are multiple different championship games in the Premier League, all those other sport leagues. There are multiple different
like tournaments
and everything like that, right? Like that, so it's I think he's trying something to, especially the game, he's trying to make the game more global. Right?
Absolutely.
And as well as in terms of sponsorships, 100%. Right? So that this right here is something that sponsors like, because now you have more people tuning in to see these games.
And that's the biggest thing.
Right?
Just to take away from your point, the innovation that Adam Silver's always shown to kind of advance the game in different ways. I really love that. And, I know the player, like, for example, the clarity, I do agree with you guys on that, especially when a player like Dame Lillard, one of your top players, doesn't necessarily know what's going on, just like a lot of us, right? Yeah. Try to provide a little insight, but even myself, it's still a little bit confusing. But yeah, I do want to speak to Adam Silver's innovation and how he's always trying to push the game forward. Also, it's a business. The NBA is a business, right? And they have money to make. So I like this kind of. The knockout round is kind of brings me similarity to like a March Madness tournament, right? Elimination games, it's high stakes. It's a 1-game knockout, which I always personally enjoyed, like watching college basketball. So yeah, I really like your guys' opinion there of the in-season tournament.
I think one thing that would have made the in-season tournament personally a little bit more competitive is like, all right, the winning team, like what does that truly mean for the winning team?
The incentive isn't enough. It isn't enough. Like I feel like they. Sorry to cut you off. I feel like maybe maybe they should provide some sort of like draft compensation. 100%. Would you agree with that?
100%. You know what? Truthfully, guys, I feel like with this idea, it's not gonna be it's not gonna be perfected the first time around.
Of course,
but it's a good foundation. I like where the mindset of the league is in terms of making the regular season competitive, because as fans sometimes it gets kind of dragged on, and we feel like the players lose the intensity throughout the middle of the season.
Great point.
So this is gonna have its pros and its cons, but I think the only way we can really evaluate this is in 2020, in hindsight, right? Having that 2020 vision in hindsight, looking back at it, and then hopefully next year refining a different formula to make it even better, or even scrap it, regardless of how we feel. So interesting, but I like the innovation.
Yeah, the innovation is good, but once again, it's how are the players taking it, right? Especially when players don't have no idea what the hell is going on. Yeah. So how do you expect them to compete or even be 100% invested in this? As well as you're trying to tell me I'm playing an additional game, which it doesn't count towards our regular season, and all I'm getting is a freaking trophy and an additional $500K. That's gonna get taxed by like 30% or less if I'm in a state like Texas.
I think there's the pride though too. There's a pride of like, man, like we're better than this team. We got one game to prove it. Like, come on, especially if it's like rivals, right? Like divisional rivals, right? Like, like Philly versus Toronto, kind of just the way like the end of the season. Certain teams trying to just make that cusp to get into the play-in. It adds that extra intensity, extra fire. Hopefully this does the same. And for that, as a fan, I understand your point, Durrel, from a player standpoint. Like, why would you buy in? And even from like a overall winning the NBA Finals, like, we might sacrifice our health. But from a fan standpoint, I love competition. I like to see the top talent of dudes playing their best 100%. Version of themselves. And at the end of the day, if it adds just a little bit of extra competition and makes the games a little bit more entertaining and interesting, I mean, I'm all for it.
Yeah, for sure. I'm all about the competition as well. But it's all about the intensity, right? So like, are these players? As long as the players are bought in, I'm bought in. Right. Because if the players aren't bought in, then it's just
then the product isn't going to reflect on the court.
Exactly. All right, so right now the players, it doesn't look like the players are completely bought in based on the feedback that Dame Lillard also heard. I believe it was like Bones Highland. I saw a video of him also stating the exact same point.
Yeah.
That he has no idea what's going on. So as a fan, that is concerning.
Yeah.
Well, it's concerning that's like, for example, you are, an employer, you have your employees and they do not know what their day-to-day task is. That's concerning because you expect them to produce. And if they don't know what their daily task is, how do you expect them to produce quality content, right? Because obviously the reason why the in-season tournament is taking place is to increase the intensity in the regular season, because players are not taking the regular season as seriously as they once were. Right, so that's why the in-season tournament is in place. So the execution, in my opinion, has not provided me, the fan. I love the innovation. Has not provided me with any certainty that it's going to take off.
Absolutely.
As long as, for me, as long as the players are bought in. If LeBron James comes out and say, "Yeah, man, it's freaking amazing. I completely understand what's going on." You have Giannis saying that, "Yeah, I'm excited." Yeah. You know what I mean? So then I'm getting excited.
Right.
Right. But then you have players like, "Yeah, I don't know what's going on." So it's like, what do you mean you don't know what the freak is going on? You're the one that's playing, dude. Right. And then players like 500,000. For me, it's as hoopers.
They need to find another way.
We're all hoopers. I mean, we need to get excited for what we're doing, and especially, these guys, their livelihood is based on their bodies. So you're telling me, to P's point, I'm sacrificing my health for a game that does not matter to the regular season.
Yes.
What if I get hurt? What if your star player gets hurt in that championship game, and then the playoff starts in a week? All right. So why jeopardize? Why would I jeopardize my health for $500,000 when the bigger picture is, the Larry O'Brien Trophy?
Right.
So it's I think obviously is this the first go around?
Yeah, a lot of things to figure out.
A lot of things to figure out.
Yeah,
I love it. I love the innovation, but I think
let's just see how it goes.
Yeah, I just believe one more year before we should be in one more year, so that all the players, everyone is on the same page before it.
Exactly. I think one go around obviously is gonna give everybody. It's going to give everyone, that clarity that we need, right? Just to figure out exactly what's going on, like Damian Lillard says. So, guys, I really appreciate you guys for tuning in for the entire pod.
Hope you enjoyed.
Yes.
Hope you enjoyed.
As always, I got my man Durrel. Got my man P with me as well.
Love.
Hope you guys enjoyed the first ever episode of the Franchise Players Podcast. We are out of here.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Really appreciate the love and appreciation.
Comment, subscribe. Let us know what you guys think. Your opinion matters just as much as ours. So let us know. Maybe we're left field. Maybe have a whole different opinion on who deserves Rookie of the Year.
Let us know. Rookie of the Year, MVPs. Did you enjoy the take? Did you not enjoy the take? Let us know. Drop a comment. Subscribe. Like the video. Be here. We're on all streaming platforms. Let's tap in, fellas. We out of here. Take care.
Peace and love.
Peace.